Okay, hi everybody. It's Victorial here, and today I'm going to take you into the basics of orb hunting. So, this video is made with beginners in mind, people who don't have a ton of experience hunting orbs, but want to learn that aspect of the game. So, the first thing first, when you're first starting to practice orbs, the best place to do it is in the rare caves. And here's why. Nothing in the caves is going to hit you back. So you don't have to worry about minions or bosses messing up your board, like throwing out damage or killing you by depleting your life or whatever. You don't have to worry about scoring well in a dungeon. You don't have to worry about really any of that stuff. The only thing that you have in the caves is your board. There's nothing external that's going to mess up that board for you. So all of the manipulation is done by you. It's a really great place to start practicing. It's like if you want to be an alligator wrestler, right? You don't want to wrestle the biggest, baddest alligator right in the beginning because you're probably going to get bit. You won't have a good time and you won't wrestle alligators anymore. But maybe you start off with a toothless alligator and then you kind of get a hang of it there, and then you move on to tougher alligators. I don't know if that makes sense, but all right. So we're going to start with the toothless alligator, and that's the rare caves. So I'm using Hobbling, Glowbuck, Mossbow, and Stonefist, but for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to identify them by color, just in case you're watching this video and English isn't your first language. If you have the game in a different language, they'll have different names. So the colors are universal, though. So that's how I'm going to approach it. We'll only be talking in terms of colors. And for the purposes of this video, I don't really care if I clear the cave or not. All I want to do is try to make orbs. When you're a beginner making orbs, I think it's important to note that the board dictates a lot. The RNG, the randomness of the board, dictates the orbs that you're going to make. When you're first starting out, you don't want to try and make complex, like 6-move orbs because or orbs that rely on fences or orbs that do that kind of stuff. You want to kind of take what the board gives you, and if the board doesn't give you an orb, that's okay. Pivot to something else. Combine a different creature, do something else, and then as you progress in the match, maybe an orb will come up, maybe it won't. You don't want to get orb tunnel vision where you're only trying to get those glowy boys. You want to be able to pivot away from it if it's not working out for you. So let's start out and let's hit play. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Right off the bat, let me first start off. This is column 1. This is column 2. This is column 3, column 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's a 7-column board. You'll hear orb hunter people talk about the columns quite a bit when you start hunting and getting into that hunt life. So the first things first is that when we talk about moving things to different columns, that's what we mean. We have a standard 7-column board here. Now we're lucky because the yellow is set up sort of nicely. And why I mean sort of nicely is because you have in column 2 and in column 3, you have 2 pieces. In column 4 and 5, you have 2 pieces. And then in columns 6 and 7, you have 2 pieces. The problem is getting them all together, right? That's the tough part. So if we look at the top row, that's where we have the 2 pieces of the yellow but they're separated by the red and the green, so we can't really make an orb there. It's not even worth trying to do it at this level because it would just be too complex. In the second row, we don't have any 2 pieces. That's okay. In the third row, we have the 2 greens, but it doesn't look like we really have enough green on the board to make an orb, so we're going to ignore those. The 2 yellows and the 2 purples. Again, it doesn't seem like we really have enough there to make an orb. So, let's do what we talked about, and let's pivot. So, in pivoting, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just make some creatures, right? So let's go and make the moss bow. Let's go and make the green in 2. So we're going to move the green from 3 to 2. Perfect. Now we know he's going to go out, he's going to do some damage, hurt that pot, set some grass on fire, all good. Now let's take the yellow here, this lone yellow in 2, and move it over to 7. Great. Awesome. That's really good. We have a creature that'll go out next turn, and that'll help do some damage too. So now, just for fun, let's put the purple from 7 into column 3. Now our turn's going to go off, and we're still not really seeing an orb, right? That's okay. Let's stack this red in column 1 into 7, because I'd like to make that purple in 3. So we take the purple from 1 and we put it in 3. Great, it did damage to a bunch of grass. And oh, what is that we have there? This is what we call the fruit of the pivot, I guess. We pivoted, we made some creatures. We weren't so focused on finding an orb right away that we were only making moves to try and find an orb. And when we stopped looking, just like in love, when you stop looking for it, it finds you. The orb found us. If you look in columns 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, in the second row, you have 2 yellows in 3 and 4. You have 2 yellows in 6 and 7. Now, if we delete either the green or the purple, it doesn't matter which one, but if we delete one of those creatures, it's going to give us our orb. So let's go ahead and do that, because we pivoted away, so we found the orb. That'll happen sometimes. You may not find it right away, but as you're playing the game, it may present itself. And if it doesn't, it's okay, because you have creatures made that are doing damage or setting up further attacks, and that's awesome too. So let's go ahead and make our orb. Boom. Beautiful. Now we've made an orb, what do we do with it? That's a great question. Right now we have only a small amount of creatures on the board, so let's go ahead and refresh. A refresh is obviously when we send more creatures out. Now, me personally, I am going to send out the yellow. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because the yellow, in this instance, the creature's name is Glowbuck. It's the deer-looking thing, I guess. And this is a special creature. This is one of the creatures that synergizes very well with orbs. And the reason for that is its second skill, its right skill, makes them grow the more of them you send out. So if you send out a bunch in a burst, they're all going to grow really big because of each other. So let's go ahead and do that with the move. Now, the way that you activate an orb, if you're really, really new to orbs, is after you have it, whatever color you put it on top of, it's going to send out all of those creatures running once you put it on top. So we're going to put it on top of yellow here. Awesome. So we have it on yellow, and we have one more move to make. There are a couple of options for another orb here if we wanted it. They're a little bit complex, so let's go ahead. For right now, let's just move the green in 4 to 3. Great. So now we don't see any super obvious orb moves. If this was an intermediate class, we could make, and this is just for the future, right? If we were in an intermediate class, we could start making a multiple move orb with red, but we're not going to worry about that right now because we just want to find the easy orbs that the board gives us. We don't want to do too much manipulation with too many moves at this stage in our orb hunting journey. So let's just go ahead and do a regular refresh. Great. We made a red in column 1. And remember those 2 greens that we stacked in 3? We can now complete that cycle and make that moss ball. Or that green, I'm sorry. So now, what do we do? That's a great question. I think with our last move, we can reinforce the purple with this one in 4. The reason I'm going to go with the 1 in 4 instead of the 1 in 2 is that if we move the 1 in 4, that opens up that yellow, and we can make a big yellow the next turn. Great. Now we can make that big yellow that we talked about. Again, we're not forcing orbs here. We're not making anything happen. We don't really see one, so I'm going to go ahead and move the 2 purples that are open into column 1. We're just playing with what the board gives us, not forcing anything, not making anything happen. But once again, the game rewards us for our ability to adapt, right? We now have an easy orb with red. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to look at column 2. We have 2 red creatures there. Column 3 is empty. Column 4 has red. Column 5, empty. Column 6 has 1 red and a purple. And then column 7 has 1 red. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to move one of the reds from column 2 to column 3. Now we've got 2 moves left. Now, can you see it? If you can't see it, that's okay. We're going to make it nice and slow. In column 6, we're going to delete the purple creature in the first row. Boom. Now we've got 1 move left. And now I know you can see it, right? We have our 2 fragments in 3 and 4 and 6 and 7. Now we can move either the red from 2 or the red from 4. It doesn't matter which one, really. We can move either one to get ourselves a nice, easy orb. Beautiful. So, as you can see, once again, it's not about really forcing it. You want to take what the game gives you. Play the combinations that you want to make, and then orbs will start to come up, like orb fragments. You'll see the 2 pieces on either side, and you'll start to see ways that you can make them. And if you don't, that's okay because you have other creatures going out. So we're going to do a regular refresh here. Great. Now we don't have a ton of yellow on the board, and we don't have an easy way to put it on. So because this is our last turn, let's go ahead and use this orb for purple. Look at that. We just won with the orb. We didn't even mean to. That's really awesome. So, as you can see, And I hope I've explained, you can make orbs if they come on the board easily. Great. Don't spend too much time in the beginning trying to force them. Instead, what you want to do is make orbs that present themselves to you. Don't try to force the orbs, but if they come to you, much like love or money, right? If it comes to you, take it. If it doesn't come to you, don't try to force it, because that makes it 10 times harder. You can get into more complex orb making strategies when you get more comfortable with it, but in the beginning, if you see them, awesome. If not, pivot away, make some creatures, let the board refresh, kind of see what happens. You may find that it starts to fall into place like it did with us both of those times. We found the orbs because we pivoted away to other stuff, right? So I hope this video was helpful. On the next video that I make, we're going to go into a level and we're going to make some orbs with some levels that Mads suggests, so that we can really practice with an opponent now. Now we're going to give the alligator some baby teeth, and then we're going to try and do it that way. So I hope you'll stick with me for that one, and I'll explain more orb mechanics and more orb hunting guides then. And as always, if you ever need anything, I'm in the Academy channel, so feel free to ask. I'm happy to help. And please like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.